Invincible is mind-blowing, it's so good I can't recommend it enough. But with that said, I don't think it's the subversive take on superhero story a lot claim it to be. I think Alan Moore's Watchmen is a subversive take on Cape's story. I think The Boys is also a subversion, but I don't think Invincible should be categorized as such. At least not for the first season, that is. Because Invincible is different to me. Invincible is, when it comes to superhero storytelling, truly alone. I knew about Invincible, the comic, for quite a while. I always planned to read it, but when I heard that a animated series made by the same writer was in the work, I decided to wait. To be completely honest, I thought that this story would be a fun Superman mixed with Spider-Man type story. I mean, just look at the tagline. And it is, kinda. We get the normal life of a teenage boy trying to make the best of his personal life while juggling with the superhero stuff. But what I didn't know was... Yeah, I was as surprised as everyone who didn't read the comic. I knew there was going to be some blood, but I didn't know it was gonna be this brutal. And when Omni-Man started to massacre the Guardian of the Globe, I was hooked. So why does this story doesn't feel like a subversion to me? What makes this show so different from other dark take on superhero comic? Well, Watchmen tried to show us the dark side of human nature with broken superhero in a broken system. Superheroes that are simply hard to call heroes. The Boys show us a world where superheroes are the product of big corporations and are just the one from the comic in the eye of the people because of heavy commercial filter. A world of superheroes that are simply hard to call heroes. But what Invincible shows us is not the alternative World War II with broken hero or fake commercialized superhero. But what Invincible shows us is simply superheroes. But not the subversive fake hero from the Watchmen, or even the wonderful iconic hero from DC, but the true unfiltered superheroes. The show doesn't try to show us what if superheroes are real in our world, but what would be the most realistic version of those fictional worlds. Invincible shows the real superhero, the reality behind the fantasy. This is not a story of superhero painted as villain or hero painted as icon, but a classic superhero story painted in. Mark is not a morally gray super individual, he is a selfless, heroic, colorful superhero. He just wants to save people. Mark is not a psychopath with the power of Superman, but a normal run-of-the-mill teenager. This world is not filled with evil superhero, but with normal superheroes, same as Marvel or DC. Sure, Omni-Man, Mark's father, the Superman of this world, is evil, but a family member supervillain is nothing new either. Neither is a evil Superman. Invincible live in a normal superhero world, one with colorful superhero and villain fighting for good and evil. But you see, it's not what Invincible does that captivate us, it's how it does it. If anything, Omni-Man being the protagonist would have made this show a subversion, but he's not the main character. We see his heart true, but he stay a villain like any classic superhero story. But yeah, he's not the main character, we all know who he is, it almost become a meme at this point. The main character is Invincible. Or is he really? Or is he invincible only by name? At the start of the second episode, there is an alien invasion, and like any good hero, Mark flies to the rescue. It's a simple superhero story setup. Avenger, Justice League, Man of Steel, Infinity War, you name it. It's a really classic setup. There's some casualty, but in the end the day is saved. But Avenger glanced over the hard stuff to show us the epic, heroic stuff. Which is fine for the type of story it wants to be. But Invincible say fuck it, show the whole picture. And this scene is simply chilling. People get blown up. Blood is everywhere. We don't get a zoom out of the destruction of the falling building or the explosion, but a close-up of the blood, the guts, the tears. Think about it, it's the same as any story. A hero fighting an alien invasion. People die but the hero fight them back. Classic. Nothing is added, but everything is showed. We see a young boy trying to play hero, but it's not a game, and it never was. When he tried to save the old lady and get hit by a laser, he crashed on the ground, and the woman was broken to pieces. And we see his reaction as he freaks out and tries his best to save someone, anyone he can. I felt that. We can't help but feel the weight of the world on his shoulder. We see what is to lose, and see him lose. It's so powerful. This simple alien invasion setup is enough to deliver a true, real hitting moment like this one, because the show was willing to show us the truth. The true, dark, sad reality of a selfless, heroic, colorful superhero. Invincible is never afraid to show us the death, to show us the people living their life as best as they can before the death, to build up a character for him to be turned into a grotesque monster, or to let the hero lose in the most brutal way. We see the struggle through the blood. When Mark fights, it's not a superhero beatdown, but a battle for survival. And when the selfless, heroic, colorful superhero says stuff like, "You guys are fucking dead!" While fighting, you know you're not watching a censored version of the story. You feel his raw emotion. You won't see Superman or Batman saying that, but when back is against the wall and people die around you, you might think, "I'll fucking kill you all." Invincible didn't just throw away the heroic filter, but burned it in a goddamn volcano. Everything you see is raw, intense emotion conveyed through classic superhero moments that are broken into dark, bloody scenes of tragedy. It's a good thing that Mark is not alone through all this chaos. There's no way you can live through all that alone. He has other superhero partner, he has good friend, a caring mother, and a loving father. Omni-Man is not a good father. No matter how you break it down, he truly is the villain of the story. Omni-Man was Mark's dream, but the betrayal and pain he feels doesn't come from the fact that Omni-Man wasn't real, but that Nolan, his dad, wasn't real. He was hiding the truth about himself the same way classic superhero story hide the blood, guts, and tear from the unwinnable battles. When Omni-Man and Invincible were fighting, when Omni-Man was beating his son, I couldn't help but feel this sadness, this weird feeling in my guts that I wanted to go away. During the fight, Mark, like any good hero, fly to the rescue. We see a young boy trying to play hero, but it's not a game. It never was. And we saw his reaction as he freaked out. We see him try to save a child while holding this huge building, but he fails. Then his dad cues him to What makes this so sad is that we see him try his best to save someone, anyone he can. We see what is to lose, and we see him lose. We see everyone breaking on his invincible body as he tried to save them. But no matter how many punch, no matter how many people died, and no matter how many betrayal, Mark kept on trying as best as he can, and never gave up, because no matter how strong you are, you can't break what's invincible. With his broken body, he's trying to save people and fight back, because you can break his unbreakable body, but never destroy his invincible will. The fight ended, broken, beaten, humiliated, betrayed. Invincible on the ground listened to his father's famous speech.
Why did you make me do this? You're fighting so you can watch everyone around you die. Think, Mark! You'll outlast every fragile, insignificant being on this planet. You'll live to see this world crumble to dust and blow away. Everyone and everything you know will be gone.
Once his father was done, Mark only had the strength to whisper a few words to his father. When everyone is gone, he would still have him. Even after all those years, and this reminded his father of his humanity, of his love for his wife and son. We see a heartbroken, confused father that comes face to face with his true feeling for his family after everyone is gone. Mark would have his father and him his son. We see his dad go into space with tear running down his cheek, and Mark on the ground in pain and alone. You see, this is what a true hero versus villain fight is. Obviously there's the blood and the death, but what I'm talking about is how this fight is not about the punching, the falling building and the explosion, but it's about ideology. Believe it or not, but Mark won this battle. Broken, beaten, humiliated, betrayed, invincible on the ground, listened to his father's famous speech and whispered a few words, and the day was saved. Invincible had a final fight with a superhero with no real chance of winning through strength. But being a hero is not about strength. If it was, Omni-Man would be the best hero ever. But what makes Mark a hero, and what made him win this fight, was his heart. Superhero fights are always battle of ideology, and Invincible let the hero and villain speak. Invincible let the hero win not with his fist, but with his word. That's what happened when you show the truth behind superhero story. They don't need subversion. I love Watchmen and The Boy as much as everyone, but superhero don't need to change. Invincible Season 1 didn't change anything but show everything. We want to see the normal guy under the mask, we want to see the struggle, we want to see the happiness, and we want to feel the pain. All they need to do is show us and we will understand. Invincible is not the only comic book to show us this other side of the fantasy. We can't take away from other iconic story made in a similar way to this one. And trust me, there's more if you try comics and some of the best superhero movie out here. But Invincible is the only one that had the power to show it to this level. And sadly, that's because it's not from DC or Marvel. This level of freedom make it so Invincible doesn't have to go back to a status quo after any story beats. And this allowed this story to be truly unique in that sense. This show is so good, guys. I love it so much and I can't wait for season 2. I still meme about this show with my bros, and judging by what I saw online, we're not alone. It stuck with us and a lot of people for good reason. Invincible doesn't reinvent the wheel, but show us the truth behind the fantasy. Invincible show us that it's not because you wear a colorful suit that it can't be tainted by blood. And that's the truth.